So guys, we did it, 6,000 subscribers. But seriously, thank you so much for letting me hit 6k recently, it's a big deal. And another thing that I want to mention is also a big deal, yeah boy now gets support by Arc System Works. That's right, I'm actually part of the Team Arc Creator EU program, same one as Gecko Scroll and all that, and yeah, it's a pretty big deal, hitting 6k, having all my videos do well, and now getting official support from the people that run the games. So I'm chuffed, I'm super happy, but today's video we're going to do something different as I'm planning out a video down the line. We're going to be looking at the major upsets that happened during Combo Breaker. Keep in mind, pools have just been kind of done, we're going to be getting top 24 tomorrow, but looking at the pools there was a lot of upsets and we're going to talk about every single one of them individually, but I'm not going to show you the full set or highlights of the set because I think you should go and watch it. I highly encourage it, but we're going to yap about it a bit. We're going to showcase some of the top talents and some of the shockers for top 24 today. The first main shocker happened in round 2 of pools. That's right, round 2. Hotashi was matched with Joe Brownie. For anyone that doesn't know Joe Brownie, they're a fantastic Venom and Jackal main, but in this set decided to play Venom, as I'm assuming this was to play against Hotashi's Nagoriyuki. Hotashi, I'm gonna be real, made some silly mistakes throughout this set, still using close slashes and anti-air because of muscle memory and dropping a couple of big combos that could have gave him the dub. But Joe Brownie played to the mistakes very well and zoned them out and didn't really let him play the game, denied Nagoriyuki as much as he possibly could. This was a huge upset. In this type of set, I expect Hotashi to go further considering his previous accolades, but in this case, Joe Brownie was the one to take it with some fantastic zoning and keep away. It took dub and a major upset so early on in the bracket. Another major upset goes to round 3 of pools where we have Cheryo and Umisho. Umisho, she's returned back to competing after the ban, so she's looking to get back into the scene. Cheryo is one of the premier Goldlewises of NA. I look towards this guy as basically him on the character, maybe next to Red. This set was actually a pretty fantastic set because Goldlewis has a fairly difficult time chasing down Leo and keeping him locked in because the flash kick is such a good denial on all of his offense. So Cheryo really got good at delaying himself and finding opportunities to open up Umisho using drone and delayed like dash ups, tricolor both flash kick and still represent a behemoth. You can see how good the spacing traps were for the set and he did so damn well in the set. And Umisho, again, no stranger to playing the stronger characters, really stood out with the flash kick fiend. Had to really play patient in the set to deny Cheryo's get-ins and offense and all that stuff because you honestly didn't want Cheryo getting started. He was looking like the premier Goldlewis of the day. Cheryo even got a nice 5D combo, which again is a nice optimal, you gotta love to see that. This was a huge upset as a lot of people expect Umisho to continue on and beat Cheryo considering Umisho's previous dubs and all the history that she's had within the tournament scene. It was quite the shocker to see Cheryo able to beat her. Don't get me wrong, Cheryo's a fantastic player himself, has been playing the game for quite a while. But being able to beat Umi in a really bad matchup for Goldlewis, it's respectable. You gotta give him his props. Well done to Cheryo for taking this dub in round 3 of pools. My god, Combo Breaker is insane. Either the seeding is awful or everybody's cracked. Like, it is insane. And we've got Joe Brownie back on our screens, and not only that, Joe Brownie was off of the Venom and on to the Jackal. The Jackal was the play this time, and I gotta agree, considering IDOM on the Testament. Testament's a bit of a low tier hero for sure, but the thing you gotta keep in mind, this is IDOM playing the character, and he is a fantastic player no matter the character. In terms of accolades and achievements, you're certainly on the side of Joe Brownie. Joe Brownie's the underdog despite maybe playing a decent matchup. Well, Joe Brownie did a fantastic job staggering away and keep the pressure on with the minions, really sticking it to IDOM, and IDOM felt suffocated in a ton of these scenarios, despite the fact, you know, he was really good at challenging and setting his own footing in the set. And Joe Brownie able to confidently go for combo scenarios, despite the fact that burst was on the table, really takes guts. Because I know me, I had to see that burst and I'd have cowered, I really would have. Joe Brownie really didn't give a damn, allowing him to cash out in most scenarios, and IDOM certainly felt the pressure afterwards, had to try and make a comeback of his own, and it almost looked good with the Stained Super. After a couple of meter exchanges and able to take the corner, Joe Brownie was able to do a burst safe throw after the pressure. You can't really burst in those scenarios, it's a little bit rough, and in the end, so he went into loser side where he had to play Testament. Pretty rough start. Now this set was a shocker. Paluna She's one of the best Desi's probably in the world right now. There's no denying that. Up against Kazam, one of the best Johnnies in NA, probably next to Kshue. Going into this set, you'd expect Kazam to be the winner of this, without a doubt. He's got a long history with Strive, and Johnny does tend to do pretty well against Desi. And as we see here in terms of the rounds, Paluna was not looking good, really down on it, and had to make this dub happen here, and with a good escape, was able to do exactly that. And that allowed her to take the set to a 2-2 scenario where she had to clutch up. We went to the next game, there was a lot of back and forth exchanges that were certainly nail biting. For example, this super looked like it was going to hit the 5k, and it does not, creating a tense scenario where after getting punished, Paluna needs to fight back, otherwise Kazam's going to take it. But Kazam certainly did, took the round. It's scary now as she faced elimination again. You could definitely see the stress kicking in for Paluna as it continued. It was a fantastic start for Kazam, getting so much damage off the board. This looked like the end of Paluna's run. But there was one thing you gotta keep in mind about Desi. She's a damage dumper, usually able to kill a character within 2 to 3 hits, and we saw exactly that from Paluna. As the Wings of Light certainly popped, and my goodness, the damage was so damn high. Paluna was able to take it to a double Luigi final round using the meter, and you can tell from the position of Kazam, scary stuff. You're expecting Kazam to take it, but a good round start led to Paluna doing her usual shenanigans with both fish and her normals, and takes the corner. And after taking the corner, she did what she did best, set up the fish, set up the pressure, really delayed it for 10 seconds for those Wings of Light to pop and get the dub. Paluna took this game from the brink of defeat with a double Wings of Light activation. Desi's a scary character, and Paluna's proven that every time I see her play, as she's able to do terrifying stuff every time. Now this one was a huge shocker of a upset. This was probably the biggest upset of the tournament, maybe Umi's show or other one, but it was this. Cloned up against Kshue, what am I do? Kshue being one of the top players of all time in terms of NA, his Johnny's fantastic and everybody basically knows the fella. He went against Clone, and Clone took the set with a very early 2-0 on the Slayer, and Clone is a fantastic Slayer, don't get me wrong, but I didn't think she was going to be able to compete with Kshue. I'm not trying to be rude, I just didn't see it happening. But after losing the first round and just starting on full aggression, she was able to deal a ton of damage, and it almost looked like it was going to get flipped on her, Kshue getting some good reversal supers and all that. However, Slayer's not one to take pressure sitting down. And that took it to the final round of the third game. And again, you're not expecting Kshue to go out. Even here, you're not expecting it. I'm not expecting it. The round start led to a ton of damage, and with burst still on the table from Kshue, he really held on to it, thinking that Clone wasn't going to like beta or anything like that. He got put into the corner from round start again, and it wasn't good. It was looking bad, and able to escape. You think Kshue's got a chance to deny this clutch comeback with a super combo. However, for a good backdash on the throw, that allowed her to take the wall. And then strike throw is all she wrote, and we saw a counter blitz W. Fantastic. Clone actually took a fantastic set, and nobody expected her to take that W, if I'm honest. This is probably the biggest upset from the tournament, considering Kshue's accolade. But yeah, Combo Breaker shaking up to be a hell of a tournament, and top 24 is going to be amazing to watch. These were all fantastic sets, and I do recommend you guys checking out the VODs or the channels that host them, because you gotta see it. You gotta see, I can't just show you this stuff, right? It's not transformative. I'm gonna tell you about the upsets, so I'm technically spoiling, meaning I'm still the bad guy here. That'll be it for today's video. I'm working on another one, so I'll be sure to see you then. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to like, hype, sub, and tell me what you thought about today's video. What was the best set? Who do you hope to take Combo Breaker? I can't wait to hear it. And as someone who's a part of Team Art Creator, god damn, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.